let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sun said it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Dance, dance, now this Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance, 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 come on, dance. We're gonna dance, dance, have a good time. Dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, dance, and have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody. Well, that was really good timing on the song, right? Like it just ended, and now here we are. Well, I hope everyone is having a great afternoon, morning, or evening, wherever you are. If you're in Europe, it probably is evening. So, hello, everybody. Hello, Ruth. Hello, Shwana. Hello, everyone. Hello, Amber. Hello, Sharptooth. Hello, Laura. Hello, AJ. Hello, everybody. Well, I am very excited to be back with you today. I know it's been a while since I've been on live, and we've solved some tech issues since the last live. But today I'm very excited to be joined to be joined by Jen Obermeier, who is from Pro Organizer Studio. So I know that a lot of you have been asking about professional organizing as a career, as a choice, as a job. And I know we can take away some of the mystery for you, some of your burning questions. So if you have a question, please ask it in the chat and we will see you. If you can type in all caps question : and then ask your question, and I will be able to see it better, and perhaps the mods will help me out with remembering those questions. So I am going to welcome Jen over on the chat. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Kay. I'm so good. How are you? Do I sound okay still?
You sound amazing.
Wonderful. The technology is just beautiful. I love it.
Yes, we had some issues last time, but we've solved them. And now you're here with us, and we can talk about one of my favorite things in the world, which is organizing for other people. It's very fun, and you know the drill. So I want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how your journey with professional organizing started.
Yes. Okay. So long story short, I probably first heard about organizing other people as like an actual business, I want to say in 2013 or so. And I thought I would be good at that. That sounds fun. It sounds like a little bit of a combination of using like the math part of your brain, but then also making things pretty. I never thought of myself as like a designer or a decorator, but I really thought, oh, like I can see how making beautiful like systems that fit in with, actual everyday decor items and making it all seamless and making it work with like your family and customizing it to the person, just the whole thing. I was like, let me at it. Sounds great. It wasn't until probably another year after that I actually took the leap and started doing it on my own. And that story has all kinds of twists and turns, but essentially I kind of found my sweet spot in sort of like a more of a higher end or a luxury sort of targeting sort of market where they really wanted somebody to not only just come in and, tell them what to do and coach them through it, but at a lot of times they were just like, here's the keys to the kingdom and an unlimited shopping budget, like just do it for me. And I was like, oh, that's a whole new thing I hadn't really even heard about or read about. And I was like, okay, this is working really well. I was like really enjoying really feeling valued by my clients. They're like, thank God you're here because, it just brought them a sense of calm and it brought me a sense of calm. Like actually having my hands and helping them work through their stuff hands-on was like really just very therapeutic for me also. So in 2016, some of those things that I just sort of mentioned in passing, I had not really heard or read about many other people charging the way I was charging and kind of managing the process the way I was. So I just thought, hey, I'm just going to put these tips or tricks or my experience out there, and very similar to this format that we're doing right now. Live video, just show up and chat and ask me anything. And that was how Pro Organizer Studio really got started. And now here we are over 4 years later. And we have students and clients that we have helped not just launch their business, but also grow it to the level that they want and help make it customized to what they want their business to look like, which is really important to me. So that is, that's the hopefully less than 5-minute version of the last 7 years of life.
No, that is perfect. That is perfect. And for those who don't know, you do coach students on how to set up their organizing businesses, where to start, what to do, that kind of thing.
I do. I have never taught anybody in my life how to organize other people. That's not really my niche. That is not what I am personally great at. Up to this point, now we have new things planned for the future. 2021 is going to start to bring some new projects, but the whole mission of Pro Organizer Studio thus far has been to help design the business side and help get a handle on the business side. Because there are a lot of people out there who are like, I'm great at organizing. I'm great at even working with people, but I have no clue how to do it legitimately. Where do you start with like contracts and just all of the pieces that go behind the scenes? I think it's a not so hidden secret that when you start an organizing business, then you suddenly feel like the most disorganized person ever because you're like, whoa, there's a lot of things coming at me. And
it's totally 100% true.
And you're like, I know, and you're like, well, I really got to like have my stuff together, because my clients are going to think that I'm a mess and that I don't know what I'm doing. So I feel like my role as a coach and as a teacher, or even in our podcast and our free content, is just to help people feel confident about the business side so that they can go and be effective and not be worried about all of the administrative things and the marketing things and how all that goes. So I guess I'm kind of like an organizer to other organizers, but it's a very needed thing because we know it's not all pretty and organized behind the scenes in our own lives. So yeah, it's been a very fulfilling journey so far.
I love that you say that because not a lot of people realize that is that you're good at organizing your house, right? You're like, great. You're like, I'm going to organize this closet, no problem. But when it comes to setting up your business, when it comes to figuring out what to charge, how to market, a lot of us are pretty much kind of can be lost and rather disorganized. I can say myself, I have been disorganized in a few occasions, but just been like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I don't know. It looks really pretty from the outside, but then on the inside, you can be a little bit lost. So I'm so excited that you have all of this great, I have to say that you have so much amazing, valuable, free content out there, like incredible. Like the stuff that's out there for free that you have given is so valuable, and I strongly encourage, if you guys are thinking about becoming a professional organizer or need some help in your business, that you go over there and take in some of that content that she's giving to you for free. But tell me a little bit about the students that you have and what you guys go over in the coaching.
Yes. Okay. So really great question. And just for anybody listening, if you are thinking about dipping your toe into that free content, it's funny because when I started 4 years ago, I was like, I don't want to overwhelm people. I just want to make it simple. And now we have so much free content that it's almost a job to help people navigate through that. So I really encourage you definitely to not only check out our podcast, but on our website, we have a podcast like directory into categories so that you're not going like, okay, which of these 50 am I going to randomly choose today? You can kind of work through them in an order that makes sense for you, whether you're just thinking about the career or whether you just recently launched and you're like, okay, I need a little bit of help. But the next step after all that free content is our business course is called Inspired Organizer. And so what this, and there's no requirement as far as like, we have people who are brand new, who are still working through the basic business setup and they've never had a client before, but they want to do the approach that that I lay out in the program. And then we'll have organizers who've been in business for 10 or even 15 years, actually, I think is the longest one that I am aware of, who join it because they want some fresh perspective and they want the community of people that are also attracted to our content and to, being more efficient in how they go about things and how they grow. So inside the program, I would say the most simple way to explain it is, we kind of help you see what your vision is. And the reason why it's called Inspired Organizer is because every single person, like Kay, for example, I love the name, you're the Organized Soprano. That is so unique and so specific to you. And it speaks to other parts of your life that also inspire you and are, part of your passion. And you bring all of that to the table as an organizer. I often say to people, just because you've never done this professionally before does not mean that you as a whole person do not have so much that you are bringing to that total package of who you are. Because, ultimately you're there to help this person that you're working with or this family that you're working with feel more confident and chilled and relaxed, especially if their house is chaos right now and their family is feeling the stress. So that's in a nutshell what an organizer is about bringing your whole self into your business, whatever that is. As you know, there's so many different types of organizing styles. You have Marie Kondo people, and on the other side, you have more like the boot camp, like let's organize everything all in a day type of person. Like there's room for all of those approaches. And so I want everyone to take what their unique personality is and their gifts are and put them into a business structure that then they know how to market and sell organizing to these clients. So the first step is really being able to see that. And then the next step is like what I call like everything. Now what? Like, what do I say? What do I say on my website? What do I say to clients? What do I say when somebody calls me? What do I say to consultation? Now I do stop short, like I said, of how do you actually organize? I'm like, you're on your own. Not you're on your own, but inside Inspired Organizer, we don't. I do at least try to help people recognize like when a client might be like a huge red flag. But apart from that, and then the next thing is basically like the third piece is what do I do? Like, what do I do for project management and what do I do for marketing? What do I do to work on my business? Not what do I do to work with that client. It's more like helping your business grow. So that in a nutshell is everything that I believe, and I've been perfecting this course content, like I said, over 4 years. So I know that our community has made it even stronger, and that we're bringing as much as we can to help simplify it, but give you all the confidence you need to just move forward.
That's often something I tell people when they ask. I'm like, because people think that they have to have all their ducks in a row and everything perfect before they start, or if, they just all these. It's got to be like in a little pretty pack. And I think that's something with people who like to organize. They have like a whole perfectionist thing, but. Yep. And they're like, well, what do you have to know? I'm like, all you have to know is more than your client does, and you'll be great. You'll be great. Yeah. And it really, people get analysis paralysis, I think, with I think any kind of entrepreneur kind of thing. But the best thing to do is just to jump in. But a little bit of knowledge or a lot of knowledge is never not helpful. We have a couple of questions in the chat, which I will. Are you ready to jump into some questions right away, or just like?
Yeah, I'm ready. The only thing I was just going to say was when people are all perfectionistic, and especially they worry about like not having the Container Store memorized before their first client, I'm like, the most important product that you need is a trash bag. Like, start there, and that is going to take you a long way.
Oh my gosh. Seriously. And like I have a trunk full of trash bags, like different size trash bags, like recycling bags. And that's always the first thing I bring in. I'm like, hi, I'm here for you. Let's get ready to declutter and throw away things.
That's right.
There's always stuff that people can get rid of before you buy anything. That always is the last step. That is the dogma from me, and probably you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always, it's like the last step. So don't be afraid. Just get in there with a trash bag. I love it. I love that. I love that so much. Kristen asks, what kind of earning potential do most pro organizers have, and how do you maximize it? Oh, I guess I should move that up here.
That's good. Great question, Kristen. So that answer also really depends a lot on where you see yourself going in terms of, do you love doing the one-on-one work and you want to just stick with that? Or do you see yourself maybe growing like more of like a team, so that you are the owner of an organizing company and that you're mainly managing those people, and maybe meeting with clients some, but that you have the ability to let go of control enough to have people organize without you. So Kristen, the answer is, even if you are a solo organizer, you can absolutely be earning a 6-figure income. In fact, if you head over to my podcast, I want to say about 3 episodes ago, we did an interview with Melissa Klug, who actually is now the permanent guest host of the podcast. But I wanted to talk about her story because she is one of those people who said, I don't want to do a team. I don't want to manage other people. I love the one-on-one work. And she talks about what it took to hustle and build up her clientele really quickly in order to get up to that level. So I would love for you to check that out. And then on the other hand, you have a whole other range of options in terms of scaling your income potential by continuing to be really serious about your marketing, and then your hiring, whether that's subcontractors or employees. Now that is a whole nother topic that probably deserves its own clearly a podcast. That's definitely something we touch on, because there's no wrong way, and there's nothing bad if you're the type of person who's like, yeah, I don't want to work with a team. I like the one-on-one. Or if you're somebody who says, I want to move myself back out of it a little bit and let my teams go and do these big jobs that I can't do just as myself. I personally don't see, I don't prefer one over the other, but I will say that I always saw myself as a one-on-one person with the client. But I certainly have many students who have done some of those other things.
I'm kind of the same way. I like the one-on-one interaction. It's something really special about the one-on-one relationship with client, and you can have some good laughs, make some really good progress, and I mean, you can't. Sometimes you can't do it all yourself, and you may need to bring a
For
team
sure.
of people in. But it is definitely a feeling that you can have, and I'm actually glad you brought that up. Lara Vlogs, I'm sorry, asks, how did you promote your services and found your first clients? This is like the number one question on everyone's mind, I think.
That's all. So I found my very, very, very first clients through a Facebook ad. And I don't know of anybody else. Yep. I talk about that story. Certainly that comes up several times in the podcast. And I certainly teach that in my course, in my program. But I will just say in a nutshell that I had no idea what I was doing with Facebook ads. I did not have time to do some of the more slow approaches. I will say there were other ways that I did find my most favorite awesome clients that were not through Facebook ads, but I literally paid $5 a day for a Facebook ad for about 4 days. And my very first client, I had a check for a package for almost $2,400, or maybe it was slightly over $2,400.
Wow.
But I was like, I mean, the day that happened, I mean, I walked out of the door and she had bought a package of 8 sessions. And that's, at that time anyway, that was unique to the way that I was structuring the services. And I was like, oh my God, I think I'm onto something here. Like, that does not seem normal in what I have read about starting an organizing business and the generally accepted, sort of, what's the word? There's a rule or whatever that you have to just start your way from free jobs and work your way. I've never done a free job in my life. You don't have to do that. You do have to know how to sell, and you got to have confidence about what you're doing. So from there, that's where I was like, okay, I want to get better at that. I want to get better at finding those clients who are just like, sign me up. I need to be held accountable. And then so the whole package pricing system, that is what I teach in Inspired Organizer. But yeah, ironically, I didn't really go back and do much with Facebook ads after that, because I was kind of like, all right, got the ball rolling, and I started to like work on referrals and my networking stuff, which was also very effective. But I was in a hurry, and it worked. I mean,
so funny.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that you are the reason I did a package pricing instead of whatever, hourly pricing or
By the hour. Yeah. Yeah.
or like estimates for entire jobs, because it always ends up being either less than you thought or much more than you thought. And
that's right. And to me, I mean, my thing that I still stand by today is that it makes it harder for your clients to make a decision about doing anything. If they're like, okay, so it's going to be this and this and this, and you got to nickel and dime them for like, okay, there's shopping time, there's admin time, there's organizing time, there's driving time. It's just like, these people are already overwhelmed. You need to make it simple and give them that feeling of like, okay, this is an all-inclusive package for this amount of sessions or time blocks, however you like to call it. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do within the boundaries of the package everything that is needed in order to make this happen. Instead of just saying, well, I'm going to like leave you on the hook because I'm going to give you these shopping, like I'm going to give you suggested supplies, but it's up to you to actually go get it. They're never going to do that. They're overwhelmed and organized. Like they need you to be like, okay, thank you so much for just like lifting this weight off of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
I hope that you've experienced that.
No, it's
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
I went from telling people to go buy X, Y, and Z, and for saying that you have to take this to this donation center, to actually just putting the stuff in my car and be like, you know what, it's going to be gone. I'm going to take it. It's going to be gone. I'll take it to wherever you would tell me to take it, and I'll do it for you. It's part of the package. Because I used to be like, well, it's going to be this much to take it to this place, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this for you, make it so much easier for you. And it makes people so much happier if when you're gone, the stuff is gone too.
Oh yeah.
They love that. They're like, Kay's leaving and she's taking all my stuff. I love it.
No.
So I think there was another question. Oh, about the business during the pandemic, and how it has changed the workload. I know that for me personally, I did stop doing in-person work, but that's only me personally. And because most of my business was already online, I just pivoted to a complete virtual business. So what do you find with you and your students?
Yes. So I have a couple of things to say about that. And again, for a much more in-depth conversation about this, we have discussed this on the podcast really recently too. But here's some key takeaways. One is, in our student group, yes, we have had some people who have had significant slowdowns. And then after the shutdown stopped, or the first shutdown stopped, knock on wood that we don't have to hopefully go through that again. But if you do, it's good I think this is a smart question to be asking, is like, what is my strategy here? So what some people experienced was that when things opened back up, they had the busiest months they've ever had. We're talking well into the 5 figures of clients who were just like, I'm ready to go now. I've been waiting on you. Wow. You know, they're not out there doing it themselves, people. Most of them are like, nope, I'm not using pandemic time to organize my whole house.
People are very stressed, and sometimes it's the opposite of some people who are like baking and organizing. A lot of people are not.
You're exactly right. So just realize that the need for it is not going away just because people are stuck at home. They probably are hating their house even more and not knowing what to do about it. So the second takeaway is, I have had some people who have really embraced the idea of doing virtual organizing and virtual coaching, and it really does work. Some people are afraid that if they're not out there being the workhorse, that the clients are not going to pay for it, but they really will. But you got to like really take it seriously and market it. Like, it doesn't just fall into your lap like where somebody finds you on the internet, unless you're out here doing videos and stuff all the time, which really is a way for people to get to know you. So the next natural step is for them to say, I want to talk directly on Zoom with Kay, and she can help me talk through this because it's so overwhelming. And then the third thing I want to say, this is my hot tip for COVID and for shutdowns, is that in most areas, and I can't say for sure everywhere, but in most areas, even when there been moving services, were still considered like an essential business because people still had to move. So we did have a lot of people who were still doing, like, if they felt comfortable being out there and doing their mask and everything, the moving jobs were still a very profitable job to go after. So if I would think that my best recommendation, if we do go into some sort of shutdown time again, or you're starting to feel less confident about being out there, is to just have your ear to the ground and be able to pivot towards that. If that's not what you normally focus on, like, that can be even a way to come together with other organizers in your area and do a team job that you wouldn't normally do. Helps you guys keep the business going and stay busy, because it's nice to feel useful, especially you don't want to be stuck at home, like when you're like, I just want to help people.
Yeah, it's hard. It's been really hard, and actually people are not all organizing at home. I know for sure. I've gotten more inquiries during the pandemic than I do normally. For all kinds of jobs. And it's been really interesting that people are at home now, and they just are looking at it all the time. I think mostly they're just like, oh yeah, that closet is kind of overwhelming, and help. Help.
I do have another quick thing to say about COVID and the pandemic and 2020 in general. And this is a very personal thing for me to share this, but here's what's different about 2020 is that even regularly organized people are now feeling like anxiety and overwhelm, and like, I usually would be able to do this myself, but right now I can't. And I know that this is true because I personally hired a professional organizer about 2 months ago. And I posted about this on our Instagram. You can see, actually, on my Instagram, you'll see the doors right behind me, because I've got an office now, and I have these 2 big closets. And so I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to like bring all my work stuff in here. I'm finally going to have my own workspace. And I was in a state of complete just like gut. I could not deal with, like, I shoved it all into the closets. Actually, it was spilling out for a while. Then I shoved it all in. And then finally I was like, there was something mental, and I really experienced it from the client's point of view. There was something psychological. It was like there was a monster hiding in there somewhere, and I just didn't want to deal with it. It was like, it was decisions that I hadn't made. It was people I hadn't followed up with. It was just like, it was all this stuff, but it really was something that I could not, like, I had to. So I called an organizer close to me, and she knows who I am. So I was like, I hope this is not intimidating. She's like, I listen to your podcast. I feel like I know you. I was like, don't tell everybody that this is my actual life. Like, this is insane right now. But she came in, and I got to experience, like, okay, I'm sitting in the chair. She will work her magic. She's going to pull everything out. And then all I have to do is just boom, boom, say yes or no. And she, like, I cannot tell you how soothing that was. And also now how productive I am, because when I open these closets, I'm like, ta-da, it looks so good. And I'm not freaking out about like papers that I haven't gone through and all that stuff. So that's the other thing about 2020 is don't just think about people who are normally disorganized. It's even people who are normally would never hire somebody that it's like, my kids are home with virtual school. We can't get out of the house as much. It's just like, please come help me. So really think about where your clients might be feeling right now and who they really are, because it might not be who you think that they are.
It's
Yeah.
100% true. And this year has really been trying on all of us.
Yeah.
For sure.
true.
You know, I mean, things that I did not do last year, I do this year. And I can understand that, being in that place of like, and thank you for showing and telling about real life, because we all have real lives behind, you know, this organized exterior. I can look up and see a bunch of papers that I need to deal with right now stuck on my side wall. And you just can get into a place of like, oh, it's too much. And you know, as an organizer, you can understand that and be able to help someone else, but have a hard time yourself, just because it is so much like weird psychology that is involved. It is. I went to the dentist like 4 months ago, and he was like, well, when did you start grinding your teeth? I was like, pandemic? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
my gosh.
the 2020 has been a time. It's been a time.
Yes. Yes.
Emily has a question. It says, what do you think is the most important skill to have or develop for a job or in organization, and why? This is an interesting one.
Emily, that is a really great question. I don't know if anybody has ever asked it directly like that, but at this point, I am confident in saying that it is about listening to your client. Because it is not about like how you think they should organize or what you think that they should keep. Like, that doesn't matter at all. But you got to hear what their goals are. You might think like, oh my gosh, I have not done a good job unless I walk away from their pantry and it looks like it could go on Instagram. You might think that's not, you didn't do enough, but if you were really listening and hearing them, that wasn't the outcome maybe in that particular case that they did care about. Now you got other people who, yes, they want you to come do glamorous shoe closet. And it's like, all right, I hear you. I'm not going to go buy the cheap products. Like, I'm really going to make this feel very luxurious, even if that's not your personal style. You know what I mean? It's like, I think the most important skill is not just your organizing. It's about really listening to like what is important to them. Why is this important to them? What, like, are they going through a transition of some kind? Like, that often is I think why people, what triggers the organizing, the need to hire an organizer is either like moving or experiencing some sort of loss of some kind is often like really impactful and makes people feel, I mean, whether it's a loss of a job or a loss of a family member or something, it can be a reason why people are starting to just really reevaluate their space and how it makes them feel. I mean, and really think about like your environment. Your environment is not just stuff. Like, we might be talking about containers, but what we're really talking about is like mental health. I think we're talking about like, this is a mental health service. It's helping them function better as a person. It's helping families function better. Like, the impact that you have by really hearing what their needs are and like working to deliver on that matters so much more than like, oh, by the way, you do not need an organizing certification in order to be a professional organizer. So I'm not saying that's not helpful, but that does not matter to your client If you are really getting them, like you're really listening and getting them, you're going to get the job, and then you're going to get all of the experience along the way that you need. And that's about moving quickly and not holding yourself back in your business just because you haven't been certified yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is so perfect, and it is very impactful. The effect you can have on someone's space and someone's psyche when you leave them. I remember when I first started working with people, and I would get to the end of the job. I'd been there maybe a few hours, and we're working on a space, and I would say to myself inside my head, I'm like, this doesn't look like Pinterest, and like we only got rid of like a little bit of stuff, and it doesn't, like, not everything's in a pretty row. I'm like, are they gonna pay me? And then they'll turn around and say or like, will they, but like wince when I ask them for a payment or whatever. And it would always be like they were so excited about what we had done, and it would so impacted their lives, and they would send me like texts or emails to say that they were so excited about their new closet or their new pantry, and that they had moved on to other spaces, and they'll send me pictures of their new. It felt so good, and it's not the whole it has to look like Pinterest thing, or it's organized the way that you want it to be, so therefore you did a good job. The listening to your client is really important, and what you're doing is very impactful to people. And I always want to make sure that point is made clear, because I think I've been reading a lot of comments in some places that are like organizing is a one of those things where like people would pay for that. I'm like, yes. People pay for that. Yeah. People pay for that. It's, and I like to say that your home or your environment is very important character in your story, and that you should treat it with as much respect as you would treat, any other really important character in your story. It protects you. It's what you wake up in every morning, and thank goodness you do. So, treat it with some respect. I always, even though it is not a sentient character in your story, it is a character in your story. We have another question. Tamila asks, downsizing versus organizing, which is better, or do they go hand in hand? I think I know the answer to this one.
Well, again, this really depends on the client too. Yeah. But I was going to say, it depends. Which one do you like better? Because you can be somebody who's like, I mainly just help you get rid of stuff. I'm not That's really true. Even here to help you do the whole. I mean, like you could sort of focus on that as a niche. And especially if you like working with seniors and, adult children who are helping their parents like move into assisted living, like downsizing can be the ticket. We're not even really talking about organizing. You're just really helping them go through 50 years of stuff. Like that's a big, big job. And those adult kids don't have time for all that, So that can be something. So it depends on where your question comes from. Organizing, I think, does it really definitely has a place. Like I said, my favorite product is the trash bag. So I think you know how I feel. But if you can and really help somebody get rid of the junk that they don't want first, that alone will be like so impact. Like they'll finally be able to like see their space better, and things will start to fit better, and they'll start to choose more wisely about what they're bringing into their house after that, because they're like, well, I just got rid of all these bad decisions. Now I'm going to make better buying decisions. So I think that's really important. So, but every once you're going to come across a client who don't want to get rid of anything. I just want you to help them fit it better into all those spaces. Those are challenging, because I'm like,
it is so
can
hard.
We put this in a storage unit? She's like, no, we got to find somewhere in this closet. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, I'm always like, we could bend space and time, We could put a portal in there to the next dimension where you can put all that stuff. No, it's funny. But I do say the reason there's like not a lot of after photos on my website is because where my bread is buttered is where people could get rid of stuff, because it's so much fun. I love it. It's so freeing. I'm like, you don't need this. You don't need this. But my favorite part is the because I always ask people like how they came to acquire some items that they're, having trouble getting rid of. And I love some of the stories for like, or like
Yeah.
I got it on sale, or like I found it on the street, or, there's a lot of psychological sort of stuff that goes into like how we acquire items. And sometimes
So
it makes
true.
it so much harder to just like let it go, especially the good deal. I find
Oh,
that
yeah.
people have trouble, like a lot of trouble. Like there's a lot of red stickers on there, so I know I got a good deal. I'm like, well,
I know.
it still has the tags on it, sweetie. It's time for it to go.
I know.
Yeah. So do you? I'm very curious to know of. Have you had any really tough client situations where you have either not finished the job or it didn't just were very, very baffled and didn't know what to do?
That is a good question. I will say, I have not ever had anything as tough as some of. I mean, occasionally there are horror stories about people who are like losing it, or you found out that that the husband didn't even know that you were like touching his side of the closet and he didn't agree to it. And I'm just like, oh, people, like, make sure you don't get into those jobs. And the one that came to mind for me is just the feeling of, every client has their own sort of like collections. So you learn something new with it. So it's like, okay, I've never done fine china before. So I get kind of schooled about fine china and then on we go. And then I had another client who had a lot of like gardening supplies and pots in her garage. And, and I would look in there and I was like, okay, there's just dirt in here. So you want to just throw this away? She's like, oh, you have to check it to see if it's still, she couldn't believe I didn't know that. It was just like, well, so it's very humbling. I think that, so the from that is just that even once you're good at the organizing part and you feel like, okay, I'm not a newbie anymore, every single job is still going to feel a little bit like you're a newbie because you don't know this person's space and their wacky habits and what they care about. And you can't possibly be expected to be like a walking encyclopedia of like all of these things. So I think if you always just approach everything with I'm really excited to get into this and learn what I need to know to help you make effective decisions. That it's less threatening to like your esteem, especially as a new organizer, where you're like, oh, gosh, I should have known that, and then you end up beating yourself up. It's like, no, nobody should expect you to know that. So I gotten a little bit was berated is a strong word, but kind of like ashamed a little bit about not knowing about the dirt in the pot. But I brushed it off. And she wasn't my favorite person in the world, but by the end of the whole thing, I mean, she loves me so much. I think she would still, I mean, she was so grateful for our work together. She just had a harsher kind of personality. So, but luckily, no, I've never had any extreme situations that I felt either unsafe or that I couldn't finish. I mean, like I said, I always try to vet my clients really carefully. And another feature of the way that I charge with package pricing is that I was always getting paid up front for the job. So it's not like anybody just like left me hanging and didn't pay me either. So that I also am sure that contributed or was at least helpful in weeding out people who were real serious and cared, about my time.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good strategy because people are more enticed to actually do the job and finish if they have skin in the game.
Absolutely.
In the form of whatever, whether it's monetary skin or emotional skin, as long as they got skin in the game, they are more than likely to get it done. We have another question. Tammy asks, how do you get rid of things that belong to a deceased family member? The thinking and letting go of emotional attachment to things, that's hard.
Tammy, that, when you're in terms of helping, and this probably crosses into that, how do you organize with a client kind of territory where I will just say, I'm not an expert in this. This is just my opinion, or based on my experience. Like, I'm sure there are people who are much better equipped to train you in how to deal with those difficult situations. But I think the most important thing I would say is that, it is important that you are going at the speed that the client wants to go. I think there's another assumption, especially when we're out here trying to prove our worth and prove our value, because it does cost them money. We're like, oh my gosh, we got to do as much as possible, as fast as possible. I got to be on it. I got to be, lugging a lot of stuff away. But you know what? Sometimes people really do hire you to be their friend and to listen to their stories. And when they need a moment to stop and cry or step away into another room and take a break, let it happen. I mean, that, especially when we're going, like I did once work with, actually I worked with several people who had lost family members, but I can particularly think of a woman who had lost a spouse, and it had been 2 years. And then it was time for her to finally, she said, okay, I'm kind of ready to start going through his closets and stuff. And she wanted to tell some stories, and I let her do that. And I wasn't sitting here going, hey, we're on the clock. You don't want to use my time like this, do you? It's like, well, yeah, she did. She got to choose that. As long as I'm sort of gently guiding back to what our goals for the session are and checking in with her and making sure that she feels like we're on track. But it's like recognizing that this is not a fast process for them. And so they want you to feel like you're on pace with them, not just coming in and just saying, yep, we're going to tear all his stuff out of the closet and we'll be out of here in an hour. That's not the goal. Not always, not unless they tell you that. Right. So that's just my opinion. Tammy would love, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I know there's some really good books on the subject about grief and about even hoarding to some extent. That's probably a whole nother ball of wax, but really helping people through those very difficult emotional downsizing or organizing jobs. Yeah.
It's tough. I feel like it's a whole special skill in itself, is to help people get through that stuff, because it's true. People will want to tell you their story and, stop and take a break. And it's just, but you're there to help. And I think if it's, I think if you're trying to do it without help, I think that giving yourself the grace and the time to do it at a time that feels right to you, I think is probably the first best step. Because I feel like a lot of people don't give themselves enough grace to give themselves enough time they need and enough space they need from the grief that they're feeling to be able to do that process. And it's really hard. It's really hard.
And something that you might not expect too, it's something you might not expect before you get into the job, is just how much, well, I guess it depends on your personality type, but for my personality type, I mean, I really soak up a lot of their emotion too. So if they're crying, then I feel sad. And if we've had a hard time, I mean, I carry that with me. It's like, you've really got to be capable. Like, it's not like you're a therapist, but you are somebody who really has to like hold that emotional space for like whatever is coming up. And to be able to sort of have like a healthy detachment from it, so that like you're not non-functional, because you've got to move on to your own life and family and other clients. But that's something that maybe people don't talk about enough, is that it can be like you're a little bit like a sponge, where you're in their environment and you're seeing their point of view. And it's important to sort of like give yourself that break, come home, don't do anything, let it all process. Because you've got to be like on your self-care game to be a really effective organizer, right? Just so that you can continue to be that like calming presence for people, and not somebody who's like really like overly tied up with like their emotions, or even with your other clients' emotions. Like you got to be a very present person.
That's totally on point. It's totally on point. I remember when I was first starting, and I was like, I can see this many clients a day. And then it was like, no, I can't. I really can't. Yeah.
And I just have had like a major aha moment while I was talking to you, and this can go in the history books. I think that I just realized that that's why I never wanted to help people. I never had a passion about helping people know how to organize other people, is because I know that there's so much like emotional boundary that I wasn't good at, that I was like, I don't think that I can effectively teach other people how to organize. And so I was like, well, I'll defer to other people who are really good at that part. So I think I just had that moment where I was like, oh, that's probably why I never wanted to touch that part. And I was just like, no, I'll just help you organize your business. However, I do want to say to the people who are listening that we have repeatedly over the years had people say, do you have some sort of actual organizing course? Like, do you have an organizing certification? Like, we would love to have that in addition to the business side, like from Pro Organizer Studio. So that is finally in the works.
Ooh.
But that effort is not being led only by me. So I'm really excited that will finally be something that we can sort of combine together in the future.
That's awesome. I'm going to be look out for that.
And yes.
And by the way, some of the links that can't be posted in chat. That's a setting that YouTube puts in, but we will post. I'll post them in the description for you after this show is over, so you guys can come back to the video and go wherever you need to the podcast and all that stuff. So we have another question. I wonder if I skipped one. No, we get schmooze on it, but Laura Blogs asks, how many times did you have to deal with clients with unrealistic expectations? Interesting.
That comes up some. I think that's probably too broad of a question for me to be able to answer effectively, but I think there can be mixed expectations about many things. One, what the organizing process is like, how much you're going to get done, how available, I think there can be a lot of opportunities for people to have negative, not negative, but a misunderstanding of communication. Kay, actually, what's your answer about that? I mean, have you had that come up a lot?
When I was first started, yeah, because I didn't really realize that the organizing process really depends a lot on how fast the client can make decisions.
Yes.
And so I learned after a while to just set them up for success and say, this is the process. And, if you are really great at making decisions, we can probably get this and this and this done. But we'll see how much we can get done. And then we'll go on an action plan from there. And that sets client up for success, and that they know that, like, maybe they can't get this closet done in one session, or maybe they can. It just really depends mostly on them. I think that the decision-making process is, I think, the deciding factor usually on, like, how fast I can work and how fast they can work and how fast we can get it done.
Absolutely. I think one thing that I maybe a go-to kind of thing that I would say, sorry, I can't remember the name of who asked the question, but the go-to thing that I would say is when somebody's asking you a question that you don't know, Laura, when somebody's asking you, like, okay, how long is this going to take? Like, how long are we going to get done? And it's like, I don't quote time frames. I do have, some of my students have gotten to the point where they've decided that they will do that, and that's fine. But what I would say is, at the beginning of the project is when you know the least about how the project is going to go. It's all based on what they're telling you, not, you haven't seen them in action. You haven't dealt with maybe other family members that also need to make decisions. Like, it's all in theory. So this is sort of a project management principle, which is we will know more as we go and then be able to better project how long it's going to take, because you and I need to learn how fast that we work together. We need to learn how, they might say one thing like, oh yeah, I'm ready to declutter and get rid of stuff. And then when they're in the moment, they're like, yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so at the beginning, when people are asking you those questions, I would say, I can't accurately predict that, but I know that we'll be able to get a feel for each other and be able to kind of reforecast like how long it's going to take, if that's the kind of question that they're asking. So everything else, I really try to put up front as much as possible, especially around like expectations of like, how we are going to communicate. Like, I'm not available on call like 24/7, but I will communicate with you this way, like whatever you choose. So all of that stuff definitely goes into it too. I would say, here's another thing I would say. Sometimes clients have unrealistic expectations about their product budget. Like, they want the home edit version for a Dollar Tree price, and that's not going to happen. It's like, containers cost a lot.
They do.
Nice ones. And so that's another thing that clients often just need, not for you to be angry at all, but just to kind of give them some education on like, well, here are some options that are in this budget range. and here's some options that are in this budget range. We can do a mix, or you can really decide like you want something that's going to last a long time. So that's another place. Just it's an opportunity. I don't see it as like a threat to my product knowledge. It's just an opportunity to say, we're going to work together to find some things that are going to work for you.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with all of that. And I know that we were talking before the live about the home edit show a little bit. So I think this question is about that show and how realistic or how accurate it is, I guess, in terms of what an organizing process really looks like. And I know that I had said in the video that that for some people, this is what it looks like. But most likely for the average person, it's different.
Right.
Yes. So what we were talking about that earlier in the show, and do you want to add to that a little bit?
I'll just say this. I'll say this. So I have not done in-person clientele since 2017. So I have not ever had a home edit. Well, the home edit was just, I think, starting to ramp up then. So I've never had anybody that was. I was aware of Marie Kondo at that time. And to that end, actually, I'm going to tell you my personal organizing philosophy. And then I'm going to tell you, too, that my podcast guest host that I've mentioned a few times, Melissa, she is actually a platinum certified Marie Kondo KonMari consultant. So we do have a lot of different perspectives about things that work and things that clients actually do resonate with. And I think to the point of the question is, yes, you have clients who want the look, and that's the home edit. You have people who want the feeling, and that's more like Marie Kondo. Now, I might be somewhere more in between, but what I told Kay when we were off the air beforehand was, I want to come up with a solution that works for you when you are in a bad mood and when you have like had it up to here and you are not doing okay. Because if it's not going to work for you when you come in and you're exhausted and literally cannot handle one more level of stress, like that's the level of simplicity that I strive for in my own house. And that I am like, I would personally get a little bit frustrated if somebody was like, okay, I want you to help me color coordinate and rainbow organize all these toys and games in my kids' playroom. Cause I'm just like, I would have a hard time with that. But like I said, I have not actually experienced anything like that in person. So I'm just saying like that wouldn't resonate with me. But if it works for you, work that. I mean, speak to those clients. They want stuff that looks good. Make it look good.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to saying you really have to listen to your client and, you know, give them what they would like, you know, if you're able to meet those needs. And you know, and sometimes you're not the organizer for that. Sometimes, like occasionally I've been like, I am probably not the best one for you, but here's one of my colleagues who loves that and will probably work better for you. You know, you have to sort of be really honest. And I think that's really the best thing for your business is to know where your strengths and weaknesses are, for sure. I think that question actually, or those answers actually answered a couple of other questions that were on here. We'll do like
I saw that,
we'll do like maybe a couple more, and then I'll let Jen go. We're not going to keep her here all day. I promise we'll let you go.
This is fun.
This is very fun. Christy asked, not sure this was asked, how do you handle purchasing products for a client? Do you suggest a product deposit upfront? Oh, interesting question.
So that I will say the simple answer is, well, I have people in our community who do a range of different things. It depends on how product heavy your particular business is. We do have people who will shop for clients just on their behalf and like can do like a credit card authorization or just, you know, shopping online and getting all the stuff ordered. If you're going to be literally buying $2,000 of product, like you're not going to want to put it on probably your own business credit card and get them reimbursed. But I have done that for smaller product supplies where it's like, I'm going to be out and about in between our sessions. I'm going to grab some things. And then next time we'll pick and choose what works and I'll return the rest the next trip. So like for me, that worked because I was never like trying to like, do products for like an entire room all at once. And sometimes that is the case. Like if you have a client who really wants to do like the pantry and needs all the things, all the baskets, everything, that can get a little bit, where you will want them to obviously pay for that, but then you can still manage the process. Yeah. So that's my answer about that. There's several different ways you can handle it. I think it depends on your general types of projects that you find yourself working on.
I find a lot of the same things that you find. And also for me, it depends on how well I know the client and how long we've been working together. Like, again, like if I'm out, I'm at Marshall's, I'm like, listen, I saw this like really cute, I'm going to get it for you. And then they'll reimburse me. Or if it's like, again, if it's like an entire pantry's worth, I'm definitely not going to put that on the business.
Sure, exactly.
But I'll take care of the process for you. But, it's just,
exactly.
It's a little balance.
Yeah, you kind of feel it out.
I feel it out. Well, I don't want to keep you all day. I know there's some more questions that we didn't get to. But if you would love to, I would love for you to come back at some point.
I would love to come back.
So maybe we can I'll save those for later. But thank you so much for hanging out with me and coming on and having so much. This has been so much fun. And let everyone know where they can find you on the interwebs. Plug all your things.
Absolutely. Well, listen, to everyone who showed up, I'm so appreciative that you guys, Kay, you're a wonderful host. And I know you guys do have more questions, especially about some of these more logistic types of things. If you guys actually head over to my YouTube channel, which is Pro Organizer Studio, we have not only the entire archive of all of our podcasts. Now you can find the podcast where you listen to audio, like on Apple or Spotify podcasts. But we have all of those podcasts on YouTube that you can listen to. And we have a lot of like the basic videos and just me sitting here chatting with you, just like we are here, where people are basically doing like an Ask Me Anything. We have tried to divide those up into chunks of topics. So like we'll talk about some of the things that I know came up during this chat, the questions that were asked, and then also some that we didn't get to, but just, in terms of like getting a feel for what it's really like to be an organizer, come on over and is what we still continue. Okay, you can hear me. I was going to say, so those educational videos are on the YouTube channel. The podcast is something that we produce regularly. So that's where I will have on guests. So you can hear from a variety of different types of organizers. Just like I've been saying today, there's room for all types of niches and personalities. And so one of my goals of the podcast has always been to like shine a spotlight on organizers who are doing interesting and different things in the industry. So we have hundreds of hours of content for you to immerse yourself in, to really feel, oh, this is how I could do this, or I could see myself doing this, or there's something that I could never see myself doing. So I just know that's not for me. Like all of that is to help you get on that path and be confident about just getting out there, because people are waiting for you to be ready. They need you.
Go get it there. And I want to say that there is room for everyone. There is room for everyone. Go and get your clients. Go out there, start making a difference. Jen. Thank you so much. I definitely want to have you back on sometime. So I hope that you had fun. And I would love to talk with you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I would love to talk with you sometime in the future. All right, you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed the live today. I will definitely see you tomorrow because it's Vlogmas. All right, you guys. I hope you're having a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you, Kay.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.